Well, here we are. This is the all-new Factor Monza road bike, and in this episode I will give you the buyer's guide for this bike, and also I will tell you some of the likes and dislikes when it comes to this new Factor Monza bike. So hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. So let's talk about this latest Factor Monza road bike. So first thing first, let's answer the question, who is this bike for? So you see, Factor is presenting this Monza bike as the kind of everyday racing bike, meaning that you are not a professional. Let's say you train during the week, and then on the weekends you go and race your bike. So this is aerodynamically optimized, aero road bike to go as fast as possible in a straight line. You can think about it something like, a Canyon iRoad Specialized Tarmac SL8. That's the category of these aero road bikes. But primarily, when you look at the Factor's lineup, you have the all-in, creme de la creme Factor Ostro Van bike. So this is their highlight bike, and this bike, starts from $9,500. So I would say that the Factor Monza bike should be considered as kind of the cheaper version, maybe a bit simplified version of the Factor Ostro Van bike. For the Monza bike, the starting price is $6,800 for the Shimano Ultegra build, and I will immediately mention that for approximately $200 more, so for $7,000, you can also get the SRAM Force build with the power meter. So for extra $200, you get also a power meter included, so I'm not so sure why Factor didn't include the power meter on this Shimano Ultegra build. That's a bit of a kind of a question mark for me. Okay, so when it comes to the Factor Monza starting price $6,800, I mean absolutely eye-watering price, but again, compared with their creme de la creme Factor Ostro Van, starting at $9,000 something US, this is definitely a huge discount. When it comes to the paint schemes on this bike, luckily you have three paint schemes to choose from. One is this steel green paint scheme, beautiful in my opinion. Then you have a very classic pearl white, again beautiful paint scheme, and the solar blue paint scheme. Probably my favorite one out of all these bikes, this solar blue paint scheme. Excellent stuff here. Factor offering, three paint schemes to choose from. Now let's talk about some of the main components of the bike and really see what do you get for your hard-earned money. So don't forget, $6,800 for the Shimano Ultegra build, so let's discuss it. Starting with the frame and the fork. So this carbon fiber frame on Monza and the matching carbon fiber fork is the stuff that Factor knows how to do, using their Toraica carbon fibers, using the graphite inside. I mean, Factor is an expert when it comes to making carbon fiber frames, so I'm not expecting, anything less from the Monza. You also get their lifetime warranty on the carbon fiber frame, and as you can see, everything here is aerodynamically optimized to go as fast as possible, so wide fork legs, also the down tube of the bike, the head tube, dropped seat stays, everything designed to go as fast as possible. Also, this carbon fiber frame, all the cabling is internally hidden, 12mm through axles, both front and the back you have, and there is a T47 bottom bracket on this bike. I have to mention here that this bike also comes with the UDH rear mech hanger, very nice addition here, and as far as I know, Factor has done some work to, let's say, make it as the UDH for road bikes, so it's a bit, I think, thinner UDH hanger than you would find on the mountain bikes, and I think this is also very interesting stuff that Factor is doing with this UDH hanger at the back, because, UDH originally comes from the mountain bike world, so there should be maybe some adjustments when it's shifting to the road bike world. All in, absolutely no complaints here from me about this aerodynamically optimized frame and the fork. It's gonna be stunning, and Factor knows what they are doing here. Now let's talk about some of the smaller components. So here we have a carbon fiber seat post from Factor, aerodynamically optimized of course, and the saddle that comes on the bike, I couldn't see in the technical spec, is this an in-house brand of Factor or somebody does saddles for Factor, let's say, Sella Italia. But again, always keep in mind saddles are a personal preference and easy to replace if needed. Now, when it comes to the handlebar and the stem, this is the carbon fiber black ink handlebar and the stem. Black ink as the in-house brand of Factor. And this thing, one-piece handlebar and the stem. Of course, it has been done for the aerodynamic reasons, but you have to be kind of careful here in the sense that depending on the frame size, the handlebar sizing is also going to be, limited. You can't customize this Monza bike. It is what it is. So, for example, if you choose size 56, then you have a handlebar of 400 millimeters wide and 110 millimeters is the stem. But let's say you go to size 58, then the handlebar is still 400 millimeters, but the stem goes to 120 millimeters. Also, the crankset length changes with different sizings of the bike. So you might have, 170 millimeter crankset, or you might have, 172.5 millimeter crankset. But specifically with this handlebar and the stem, what I wanted to say here, it's nice to have this, one-piece handlebar and the stem, but please, please, before you, decide to buy this bike or shortlisted, you gotta go to some local distributor of Factor bikes and you gotta double check that this combo of handlebar and the stem will fit you. So this is one of the negative points of this bike, that although you are paying, $6,800, and Factor is very well known for their customization options, on this Monza there is no customization when it comes to handlebar and the stem. And I wish that Factor has offered it here, the same stuff as they could offer on their, high-end bikes like the Ostrov M, where you can customize so many things. It would be so nice if the same customization is present here, at least for this handlebar and the stem, because this might be a sticking point for some of the buyers. Okay, moving on to the group set on this bike. So specifically here, I'm looking at the Shimano Ultegra build, so full Shimano Ultegra, shifters front mech and rear mech. This is a 12-speed electronic group set from Shimano. I mean, absolutely stunning piece of work. I have no complaints about the electronic Shimano Ultegra group set, and there's no cutting corners here. So you have the Shimano Ultegra chainrings 5236. You have the Shimano Ultegra cassette 1130 cassette. So just keep in mind here, if you live in a really mountainous, hilly area, maybe this 1130 cassette won't be enough to attack some really steep mountains. Also rear mech Shimano Ultegra 12-speed chain, probably matching Shimano Ultegra 12-speed chain. Absolutely stunning here, no complaints when it comes to, Shimano Ultegra shifting and braking performance. So speaking about the braking, Shimano Ultegra hydraulic disc brakes both the front and the back, with the Shimano Ultegra rotors, excellent rotors, good heat dissipation. And I will just mention here a small detail, that at the front you will have 160mm braking rotor, but at the back you will have this tiny 140mm braking rotors. You probably know my opinion about these tiny rear braking rotors. I also believe that at the back it should be 160mm braking rotor, just because this tiny rotor at the back, if you are descending a lot, you can really overheat this rear braking rotor, but it seems like bike manufacturers are primarily doing it to drop the weight of the bike, and I don't know, I think it's a bit of ridiculous to have these tiny rotors at the back for braking. Generally, Shimano Ultegra hydraulic disc brake, stunning piece of engineering, it's gonna work perfectly fine, no complaints here from me. Also, I forgot to mention that on this Monza bike, on the down tube, you have an internal storage, which is also very, very nice. You can pack, some small tools inside. You can pack maybe even some food inside. It's a very nice touch, and I like when they are using this space inside to make this storage. Very, very nice touch on this bike. Now, let's talk about the wheel set on this bike. So this is black ink 45 wheelset, so 45 as the numbers, and this is again an in-house production of Factor. So this is a carbon fiber wheelset, 45 millimeters rim height, and I'm guessing here, just because I can't find technical specifications for this black ink 45 wheelset on the Factor's website, so some stuff I could find online on some other webs would suggest that spokes on this wheelset are aluminum spokes, that the hubs are in-house Factor branded hubs, probably with classical, sealed cartridge bearings. These will not be ceramic bearings like on some of the high-end black ink wheels. But the most worrying thing on this wheelset, in my opinion, is that from the specs I've seen on some other websites, it seems like internal width on this wheelset is 21 millimeters. So I think this is an absolute kind of no-no in today's world. It's just too narrow, and with 21 millimeters internally, it seems to me that probably, some kind of, maximum tire you can run on these wheels would be something like 28 millimeters. Although Factor is saying that this frame and the fork can accept 34 millimeter tires, but I'm just not sure that somebody would put even a 32 millimeter tire on this narrow internal rim width. So it's almost like Factor has designed all this bike, put all this, time into it, everything looks good, excellent, and then the wheel set, they've kind of pulled some kind of, old stock carbon fiber wheel set with this tiny kind of narrow internal width. As you can see, modern wheel sets are moving, forward internally like 24, 25 millimeters, just because, if you want to run tires like 32 or even 34 millimeters, as Factor is saying here, you need a wider internal rim. So this is a bit of puzzling to me, if this is true, again, from stuff I have read, that this is a narrow internal width on this wheelset. And probably this is one of those limiting things that in the future, if you are planning to run 32, 34 tires, I just don't see how this is going to work with this 21 millimeters internally. Of course, this wheelset is a classical clincher wheelset, tubeless ready, everything fine, but wow, internal width, a bit weird decision from Factor to do this. So, in a summary, when you consider the retail price of $6,800, it's an absolutely, eye-watering price, and there are definitely few dislikes on this bike that I think, would almost be a deal breaker for many people. The first thing is that, as I said, one-piece carbon fiber handlebar and the stem, you really gotta be sure that this is gonna fit you in your specific bike size, because you can't customize it, you can't change it when ordering from Factor. This is it. It comes with certain sizing, so I think Factor should have given you a choice here to customize this handlebar width and the length. It would just be so much nicer when you're paying, $6,800. Also, I'm not so sure why the Shimano Ultegra built bike doesn't come with a power meter, because on a SRAM bike, with the SRAM Force Groupset, you get a SRAM power meter. So with the Shimano Ultegra bike, they could have also, for example, used like 4i power meter, make some kind of deal with them and equip it with a power meter. And also, the probably the biggest thing you need to be aware are these carbon fiber wheels, where internally it seems to me they are very narrow. 21 millimeters is the data I'm reading online, and if that's the truth, these wheels are not, future-proof, and I really don't see how will you run 32 or 34 millimeter tires on these wheels. Frame apparently can accept it on these narrow rims. So this is a bit tricky decision from Factor to fit these kind of old school almost wheels, I would call them, and out of the box on the bike, as I see Goodyear F1 tires, Eagle F1 tires, perfectly fine tire, but it didn't specify what's the width of these tires out of the box. Is it 28 millimeters? Because it seems to me that this would almost be the maximum you would run on these 21 millimeter internal rims. So what's the width of these tires out of the box? I don't know, but again, something to double check with your local Factor bike dealer. So as you see, all in, it's a good kind of promise from Factor, because also on the geometry of this bike, they have increased the stack and shortened the reach, so it's definitely going to be kind of more comfortable for the everyday racer. But then somehow I'm totally puzzled why there is no customization on handlebar and the stem, since it's a one-piece carbon fiber, and this wheel set is really puzzling why this wheel set, and also why there is no power meter on the Shimano Ultegra bike. So as it is now, I don't think you should just be going ahead and just, simply buying this bike. It's mostly one of those, shortlist it and maybe negotiate with your local Factor bike dealer to replace these wheels, drop the price a bit, or do some customization for the handlebar and the stem if it doesn't work for you out of the box. Very good idea, Factor, but kind of a missed opportunity. It could have been a stunning, aero road bike, but I think it's a missed opportunity. So this is gonna be it for today. If you like what I'm doing, please do subscribe, click that like button, and as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Cheers!